What name comes to mind when you think about space? Neil Armstrong? Maybe Buzz Aldrin? Everybody remembers the first man to land on the moon. But do you remember Roger Chaffee, Gus Grissom, Ed White, and plenty of other astronauts who died trying to land on the moon? Probably not. Even after all they've done for NASA, they aren't remembered. But without them, who knows where we would be now? They made it possible for future generations to land on the moon. They made it possible. Do you remember them? Any of them?
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
On July 20th, 1969, the first person landed on the moon, Neil Armstrong, along with Buzz Aldrin and Charles Peet. This was a very big deal at the time. These people had stepped foot on the moon for the first time ever. This got a lot of heavy publicity. Everybody was in awe by what they had accomplished. Before that, in Apollo 1, Gus Grissom's crew's lives were taken by a freak accident and a horrible tragedy. Being the first astronauts in the U.S., they had discovered many new things about spacecraft, and while they were on their path to discovering more, the rocket ship they were working on set fire on the inside and they were burned to death inside the capsule. Even though their time was cut short, they still had learned a lot about spacecraft that was very useful to the future astronauts and the mission to be the first ever in history to step foot on the moon. This tragic event almost ended NASA. However, with all the experience they had had from Apollo 1, NASA thought that they should continue their space program, and they eventually went on to achieve many great things. When astronaut Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Charles Peet stepped foot on the moon for the first time in history, everybody around the U.S. was astonished by their amazing accomplishment. And that was when Neil Armstrong, the first man to land on the moon, became a household name. And this was also when the other astronauts were forgotten and all they had done for NASA. Although Neil Armstrong truly did accomplish something great, maybe his memory should be favored over others, but that doesn't mean his memory should be the only memory of astronauts. Many people think this. Articles have been spread worldwide about all the other astronauts and their accomplishments too. Also, articles talking about why astronauts are important and should always be remembered by the U.S. people. Gus Grissom's son once said, "They kind of ignored the Apollo and fire for 50 years. I mean, we've had tributes to Columbia and Challengers for years, and those were much more recent events." While Neil Armstrong and his crew were becoming more and more popular and well-known, the other astronauts were being slowly forgotten. In fact, 3 months ago, a movie came out about Neil Armstrong and his mission on the moon. Overall, Apollo 11 was remembered for everything they did, and they have done a lot. But the other astronauts have also done a lot, and without them, the Apollo 11 crew wouldn't be able to accomplish landing on the moon. We wouldn't be the first to land on the moon, most likely. Without all of our past experience, without all of our mistakes that we learned from. So maybe look them up sometime. Get to know more about them. Because they aren't remembered for all they've done for us.